our class. Today in our grammar session we are going to be concentrating on using capital letters and full stops correctly when writing. So first of all, a capital letter, we always need a capital letter at the beginning of a sentence. So to start our sentence off, you have to use a capital letter. So let's take this sentence. Yesterday. The first letter in the first word, yesterday, needs to be a capital letter. And you can see that in the red there. A capital letter is larger than a lowercase letter in its size. So when you're writing your capital letters, it's really important they're sat on the line correctly, how a capital letter should be sat, whichever capital letter that is, and that they are a larger size in comparison to your smaller lowercase letters. Yesterday, we went to the park. The end of that sentence, we have to have a full stop. Okay, that tells us that that's a full sentence and it's the end. We cannot put the full stop in the middle. Yesterday we went. That's not the end of that sentence. That sentence doesn't make sense on its own. So it's got to come at the end. When we have a new sentence after it, the new sentence, the first word of that new sentence needs to have a capital letter. And that's where lots of us go wrong. Our first sentence, we always use our capital. And when it comes to doing the next sentence, we go back to just using our lowercase letters. So make sure if there's a full stop or a question mark or an exclamation mark, then you know if it's at the end and it's the end of that sentence, you know the next word in the next sentence needs to be a capital letter. That's really important. We saw a big dog. Now, here's an example of how we could change this sentence by getting rid of that full stop. And that changes whether you're using that capital letter or not. Yesterday we went to the park. That's a sentence. We've got capital letter for the Y for yesterday, full stop at the end of park. The second sentence is we saw a big dog. And we've got a capital letter for we and a full stop for dog. But we could join those sentences together using the conjunction and. So if I get rid of this full stop, and I put an and in, have a think, will I need a capital letter for we then? No, I won't, because that's now not the beginning of a new sentence, that's part of this sentence. So I would need a lowercase w, capital letter Y for yesterday, we went to the park and we saw a big dog. So one thing that a lot of you do is when I'm asking you to extend that sentence or can you use conjunction to join those sentences together, you put the conjunction in, but then you forget to take the full stop and the capital letter for the next sentence off. You've got to make sure if it's part of the same sentence, which this one is now, we're not going to be having a capital letter over here. It's got to be lowercase after the word and. Another time that you always need to use capital letter is with the personal pronoun I. So anytime you're writing the word I in a sentence, whether it's at the beginning, the middle, it needs to be a capital letter. So I like ice cream. You can see that I is not only at the beginning of the sentence, so it needs to be a capital, but it's also that personal pronoun. It's got to be capitalised throughout your sentences. She said, I don't like that. Again, the I is capitalised. Yes, it's in the middle of a sentence, but that doesn't matter. Anytime you're writing the word I, it has to have a capital letter. So, I love chocolate, the I would be capitalised every time. Let's see whether you can have a look at this sentence and see whether you at home can correct Miss Bailey's silly mistakes, because I've done something wrong. I went to the shop and I bought an ice cream. I have done something wrong in this sentence. So I want you to think, Miss Bailey, what have you done wrong from what I've just taught you? What have I done wrong? So pause this video. We'll go through now what Miss Bailey's mistake was. Okay, we've been learning about capital letters and full stops. And we just learned that when we use the word I in a sentence, it has to be a capital. Let's take a look at my sentence and read through it. I. Now, have I used a capital letter there? No, I haven't. So I need to cross that out and I need to put a big capital I in blue. You can see that hopefully. I went to the shop and I. Now, I know that's not the beginning of another sentence, but I've just been taught that anytime we're writing the word I, it needs to be a capital because it's a personal pronoun. So I need to cross this one out and I need to put a capital I. Now, do I need a capital I for ice cream? Is the cream the same as the word I? No. So whenever I teach this lesson, what usually happens is a few of you might get a bit mixed up. You might think every time you see an it that looks like this in a word, you're thinking it's got to be a capital letter then. That's not what Miss Bailey is saying. I'm saying when you're using the word I went to the shops, I like chocolate, I did this, I did that, it has to be capitalised. I'm not saying that whenever you see a letter I, like this, in a word like ice cream, then it needs to be capitalised, because that's not the same as the word I. We also need to use capital letters for people's names, the name of their titles, and for the name of places. So let's have a look at this sentence. We have Mrs. Foster went to Gloucester in a shower of rain. Mrs. is a title, just like my title is Miss because I'm not married. So it's Miss Bailey. So Mrs. Foster, the M in Mrs. needs that capital letter because it's the name of a title. Foster is her last name in this sentence, just like Bailey is my last name. So the first letter of Foster also needs to have that capital letter. And then Gloucester is a place. So that G in Gloucester has to be a capital letter because we always capitalise the name of places. Like, for example, the country we live in, England. England would be spelt with a capital E because it's the name of a place. Days of the week, months of the year also need that capital letter. Important dates like, for example, Christmas. Those celebrations, they need those capital letters. Christmas, Easter, all capitalised. So, let's have a little look. We know our days of the week. We've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, and all of those days of the week, their first letter needs to have that capital letter in it. Same with the months of our year. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, the best month because Miss Bailey's birthday then. So all of those months of the year, their first letter has to have a capital letter. That's really important. The next thing that's really important is when we are actually writing our capital letters. Not only do they have to look different size, they have to be bigger to our lowercase letters. But if we're joining and starting to join, which some of you in my class are, some of you aren't yet, you have to make sure once you learn to join that you are not joining a capital letter at the beginning or at the end of it. So whenever you're writing a capital letter, you are not putting the flick to join at the beginning or at the end. So let's have a look at this sentence just to show you that. So you can see that O here does not have a flick at the beginning as if it was a lowercase letter and we were writing cursively. On Sunday, I went to see my auntie Laura and my cousins Jane, Peter and Sarah. So I've got a capital letter for the day of the week, which is Sunday, capital letter for our personal pronoun I, capital letter at the beginning of our sentence, don't forget that one, Miss Bailey, capital letter for the title for auntie Laura, capital letter for her name Laura, and capital letter for Jane, Peter and Sarah because they are all names. So really important we're using those capital letters correctly throughout our word. And the other important thing is making sure we've got what at the end? A full stop. And of course, that's as long as our sentence is not a question or an exclamation sentence, okay? Just a normal sentence needs that full stop at the end. Now we're going to see whether you can use capital letters and full stops to correct my sentence. So my sentence at the minute is the polar bear sat all alone on the ice. So I want you to have a look at home. What has Miss Bailey missed? Has she got capital letters? Has she got full stops in the right places? Has she even used them? And see whether you at home can pause the video, write this sentence, making sure you're using capital letters and full stops correctly. So pause the video now. Right, we're going to have a little look. So I know I need to use a capital letter at the beginning of a sentence. So let's find where my beginning is. Here. I haven't used one. Silly Miss Bailey. So I need to change that into a capital T. Polar bear, you might think, oh, that's a name of an animal. But animals' names don't need to be capitalised. So we don't need a capital letter for polar bear. The polar bear sat all alone on the ice. Where's my full stop going to go there? The polar bear sat, is that a sentence? Well, it is, but it's not the end of my sentence. The polar bear sat all alone on the ice. The end of that sentence is the end of ice, and I can put my full stop. See whether now you can complete my worksheet with capital letters and full stops. Rewrite out the sentences on the worksheet provided, using them correctly in your work. And remember, superstar handwriting.